Hello there! Welcome to my channel. And a year ago, I made some predictions of both the Championship and Premier League of where each team will finish at the end of the season. It's something that I've done the last few years, but never been the case of putting it on YouTube or any other kind of media. So now that I've been doing this for about 3 months, I think it's time for me to show my predictions and essentially see how many I got right. And I'm also going to keep score of how well I do. So you might have seen a YouTube channel from a certain Irish guy where he kept a score, kind of like in golf. So for each position that I've got wrong with one of the teams, then that's an extra point. So for example, if I predicted a team to be first and they came 10th, then it would come to, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th. So that's 9 points. So essentially I want a very low score. The lower the score, the better. So I'm hoping at the very least, because the Championship is so whack, I'm hoping for the very least 200 points. If I get lower than 200 points, then that will be fantastic. So let's get into it. 24th, Oxford. Yeah, not a good start, is it? Why do I do this to myself? So essentially, it was a great opportunity, Oxford being promoted last year from League One to the Championship, and I just simply thought they would just go down straight away, let alone be where they finished. And they actually done so well, finishing 17th. So I've already started off really badly. But can you blame me? Never in my lifetime, at least in having that self-consciousness, have I ever thought of Oxford being a Championship side. And I thought to myself, there's so many unknown, to an extent, unknown names that you don't really associate with Premier League or Championship. But then they brought in Gary Rowett, and even at the beginning of the season, they were making strides. So it's a fantastic season for them. And I'm already starting off in the negative, and that's 7 points. So I'm going to keep a tally on this, so you can see how terrible I do. Put 7 points on the scoreboard. Let's see who's next. 23rd, Plymouth. And would you look at that? My first prediction that I got correct. I knew Plymouth would go down, and it wasn't because of the players. I didn't feel it was because of anything to do with the board, if anything came up. 2 simple words. Wayne Rooney. He is an abysmal manager, and it's only because of his name that he's able to be touted for these jobs. And it's ludicrous, and it's crazy. The fact that he got sacked with Plymouth at bottom of the Championship, and then some months later he was being touted to be in charge of Blackburn. When are clubs going to learn that Wayne Rooney has a philosophy that is only suited to certain teams and certain players, and not for, already seen, lower half Championship teams? It's terrible. He has relegated Derby now. You could argue he solely took Birmingham down last year, and now he's taken Plymouth down. I mean, Mersic, what a great job he has done. What a great job, because my credit to him is Plymouth not being bottom of the league. It's crazy how Wayne Rooney has made Plymouth that bad, yet they didn't finish bottom. But my goodness me, what a great prediction. I knew it. Whether it was last, 23rd or 22nd, I knew Plymouth would go down. So I'm so happy I got them 23rd. 22nd, Hull. Yep, time to add another point. I was 1 off. Literally 1 off. They done so well in surviving with Ruben Sellers. They nearly got relegated, but at the expense of Luton losing and having such a negative goal difference and didn't score that much this season. Hull finished 21st. So that puts my total score to 8. 21st, Derby. So with this one, I'm still rather shocked. I think it's a very commendable thing that the Derby players have succeeded in not getting relegated, and they can build from this. What's more of a big surprise for me was when John Eustace took the job. When Blackburn was so involved with the playoffs, and then all of a sudden you see news about him, about why he's joining Derby, who are in a relegation battle. And he succeeded. John Eustace for me is a complete opposite of Wayne Rooney, where you might not like the football he plays and the philosophy, but you can tell that the players at his disposal, his philosophy suits it, and he's able to learn from it. Unlike Wayne Rooney, who is very stubborn in his ways of still having a fantastic philosophy, an attacking philosophy, but not having the players that can play that kind of football. However, I've got it wrong. I was away by 2 places, so that's an extra 2 points. So now I'm up to 10th. 20th, Sunderland. This was one of the ones I was most worried about. Did Sunderland finish 20th? No. Were they close? No. They finished 4th. Okay. Regis Labrie has done such a fantastic job. Now, don't get me wrong. Right now, at the end of the season, they're not really picking up that form to the playoffs. But the fact that he managed to get them there, where before joining Sunderland, there was a lot of finger pointing as to whether or not he'd be able to adapt to the Premier League and make Sunderland successful. Where, for me, they should be a Premier League side because of their size. So I've got to count up all these points now. Let's see. That's 16 points. I'm on 26 points. I'm hoping to still hit that 200 mark. 19th, Cardiff. That's another one wrong, but not too far. Not a lot of points added to the score. I know Cardiff didn't really have a good season last year, but it just went from bad to worse. Now and they're in League One. They finished bottom. And that's 5 extra points for my tally. Now on 31. What more can I say about Cardiff? They've just been atrocious. The fact that they've finished below Plymouth speaks volumes. 18th, Blackburn. When I made this prediction, I honestly thought it was just a status quo of Blackburn being in the bottom half of the Championship. But then John Eustace worked his wonders, getting Blackburn near the playoffs, and then he leaves the derby. Valérien Mishmel is in charge. Sure, he doesn't do as good a job as John Eustace, but still keeps them top half of the league. So again, another one wrong, quite an exuberant amount, 11 points. So that puts me on 42. 17th, Watford. Watford get on my tits, and I'll tell you why. Watford could have done so much better this season because they finished 14th when a majority of the time during the season they were near or around the playoffs. But one thing that came to mind for such a long time, especially near the end of the season, is their disciplinary record. They have a discipline issue. They have the 3rd worst tally of points in the fair play statistics with red cards and yellow cards. I mean, throughout the whole season, the team itself has had 93 yellow cards, and they've had 6 red cards, 3 of which was a yellow to a red, another 3 a straight red. There was a lot of issues with Watford this season because some of the time, from the 6 occasions, they struggled to have just 11 men on the pitch. But still, they've done better than what I predicted, which was 17th. They finished 14th. So that's an extra 3 points on my tally. Slowly but surely, I'm getting a bit more relief. But there's one I know that I predicted that is just the worst. 16th, QPR. That's another one, just one off. They finished 15th. I predicted 16th. 15th, Portsmouth. You couldn't make this up. Full credit to Portsmouth, where John Mousinho has done such an amazing job with how Portsmouth started to where they finished. I mean, 16th is something fantastic for Portsmouth to build on for next season. But yeah, it's another point for me. 14th, Sheffield Wednesday. Danny Röhl is underrated. I really enjoy watching Danny Röhl, his Sheffield Wednesday team, playing football when I'm watching Football League highlights. And to come to think of it, where last year where they were fighting for survival, this year they are sitting in mid-table security, and it's great progress. But then I predicted 14th, they finished 12th, that's an extra 2 points. Oh man, I need another prediction right. Give me another prediction right. 13th, Bristol City. This is one of the moments I'm glad I'm wrong. I think it's fair to say that Liam Manning with Bristol City, succeeding with Bristol City, is an understatement. The fact that he has been able to break the curse, the obscurity curse of Bristol City constantly being safe in the Championship. No promotion battles, no relegation survival battles, just literally around the middle of the table. And now that they're facilitated in the playoffs, that's my card for who to support within the playoffs. I don't really care about Sheffield United, I don't care about Sunderland, I don't care about Coventry. Bristol City's got my vote to, essentially, as far as I remember, in my lifetime, the first Bristol, or the team with Bristol in their name to be in the Premier League. Liam Manning has done such a wonderful job, a fantastic job. However, he's not doing any favours for me, because now that's an extra 7 points on my tally. I'm getting a little bit nervous now. 12th, Sheffield United. I can't be the only person who thought Sheffield United would flop this season. Don't get me wrong. They are one of the teams who've recently been relegated from the Premier League. They have the parachute payments. Some of their talent might have left. They might have brought in new talent. But I honestly thought they would be the team that had just recently been relegated to not have any kind of promotion or relegation battle on them. Chris Wilder, for me, goes to show he still has it. Sure, he might be one person people might doubt as a Premier League manager, but sometimes, how do you know when there's a diamond in the rough unless they keep trying? That's the main thing for me with people like Marco Silva, who, sure, they have a relegation on their hands, but push comes to shove, when they learn more and more about the English game and what it takes to be in the Premier League, they can succeed. So if Sheffield United get promoted for next season, I would like to think they'd put up a much better fight compared to them in the 23-24 season. That's why I thought they were going to flop so bad, because they were so bad last season. And that's 9 points. It's not looking good, boys. 11th, Stoke. Stoke, this season, have been on a ride. They've had 5 separate individual managers who have taken charge of them this season, starting with Steven Schumacher and ending with Mark Robbins, and credit to them for surviving this wacky season. Sure, it might have taken them near the end of the season to clarify their championship status, but they managed it at the end of the day. But man, have they really flopped, because I thought they would actually do really decent this season. I had a lot more hope for them, instead of continuously being near the relegation zone. And then that's another 7 points. We're near the 100 mark, and I still got that one prediction I talked about that is really bad, so I'm still really worried might hit the 200. No! 10th, Swansea. That's another one away. Even though I put Swansea in 10th, it still surprised me how they weren't just 10th, but they were in contention to be in the latter part of the season, part of the playoff promotion push. Because normally you just think of Swansea as a team who facilitates the middle of the pack, just your standard first piece of bread and loaf, but credit to them, they've actually done really decently. I mean, much better than their other Welsh counterparts. I mean, you know. 9th, Coventry. I don't care what people say. Frank Lampard, for me, is the manager of the season. And it's not because, obviously, we're going to come to it, Daniel Farke winning the championship in of itself, and Burnley with Scott Parker achieving second even with 100 points. Frank Lampard, for me, came into the Coventry job with such low expectations of him because of his past managerial experiences. I mean, with Derby, didn't get them anywhere. Chelsea, sure, he might have brought some of the youth into the Chelsea squad, but then he had no choice. I mean, you think of Everton and his second stint with Chelsea, but he came into Coventry, who were bottom half of the league, and he has managed to bring Coventry all the way up to the playoffs. Now, for me, that now sets him apart from the trend with Steven Gerrard. Regardless of where Coventry go in this playoffs, whether they win it or they lose it, he has now broken that mould of elite football players who may not necessarily be great, if even good managers. Wayne Rooney, Steven Gerrard. I firmly believe he's made it. And you never know in the future if he'll fail at this point, but at this moment in time, this, not even a whole year alone yet, He's done so incredibly well, and he's got my vote for the manager of the year because of that. 8th, Preston. For me as well now, Preston are the most disappointing team that I predicted, because they've always seemed such a strong mid-table outfit that this could have potentially been a time for them to build up on that now. But instead, I couldn't believe when I saw the table near the end of the season where Preston were in the relegation dogfight. How? They should not be a team fighting down there. One could acclaim every single team, shouldn't. But it was just the biggest shock for me that Coventry were climbing all the way up there to the playoffs, and then Preston were already coming down at the expense of 12 points now. There's been quite a few times it's nice having the one-off, just a 1 point or 2 points, maybe a few points here and there. Bloody hell. 7th, Millwall. It was a matter of 7 goals. Just 7 goals, and I would have had the right prediction. Same level points, 7 goals. This is what I have to deal with my predictions. I hate hindsight. 6th, Middlesbrough. Again, I can't help but feel it's another team who have underachieved. For me, Michael Carrick is a great testament to applying his trade and not jumping the gun into getting a big Premier League move, because he still has so much to learn, much more at this level, which will be, it will be so valuable to him. And his tactics work, I would like to believe, because you can see how he changes formations from one shape when they're attacking to one shape defending, and the fact that they finished 10th, it was a bit of a surprise. So even though it's 4 points on tally, I can't help but feel Middlesbrough have somewhat underachieved. 5th, Norwich. The fact that Norwich, in the last 6 games of the season, only won 1 of their last 6 goes to show you how incredibly underwhelming Norwich have been this season. They've always been that kind of team who is a yo-yo, up to the Premier League, down to the Championship, but now they've just gone into Championship obscurity, that they're just another mid-table team who's not really going to be pushing for the playoffs, may not necessarily be in a relegation zone. It's been so disappointing with them, and I'd be disappointed too if I was a Norwich fan, because you had Boya Sainz, who was the top goal scorer for such a long time, and then he had that massive drought. Now, where's the consistency in that? That's probably Norwich's biggest flaw this season. The inconsistencies to their football and their form. So if Jack Wilshere is at the helm for next season, who knows, then hopefully he can bring some of that top tier pedigree into how consistent the players can be to build onto this season, because they really need to. They have the size of the fan base and the stadium for it. 4th, West Brom. If Carlos Corberán stayed at West Brom instead of going to Valencia, they would have definitely been 4th, if not up there with the same kind of points as Sheffield United. Carlos Corberán was such a breath of fresh air for West Brom. I would watch some of the matches on the telly, and you can really tell he has an attacking, attractive football philosophy that works. It works for the team that he has, and it's those players who really complement his philosophy. And then when he left to Valencia, now don't get me wrong, I'm also a massive fan of Tony Mowbray, because he facilitates the football at which club he represents. But I can't help but feel as though, because of the contradiction of both their philosophies, it led to West Brom just coming down the leagues at the end of the day. They've literally just missed the playoffs. They finished 7th. I predicted them 4th. That's an extra 3 points. I think it's fair to say that I'm not going to hit that 200 mark now, so I'm very relieved, but I'm not looking forward to still the prediction that I have the most cringe about. 3rd, Burnley. I am so happy for Scott Parker succeeding greatly with Burnley. The fact that he helped Burnley become a Centurion in the Championship Don't get me wrong, it would be nice to win the Championship as well, but it really goes to show how amazingly good they were. And yes, the parachute payments obviously helped, but take away Scott Parker from the team and then just have Scott Parker. He could have easily just fallen prey into obscurity after trying to find another home right after being promoted with the likes of Fulham, the likes of Bournemouth, and then he went out of the window with his Premier League tenures when he used to be managing Belgium. So now that he's succeeded greatly with Burnley, I do hope they have a very good season, and by that I mean staying in the Premier League. So thank goodness that's only 1 point onto the tally, brings it to 106. Oh my goodness. Second, Leeds. Yeah, you can see where this is going. So Leeds should always be a Premier League side. Taken out of the fact of, you know, the rivalries and the like, the stature of the fan base, the stature of the stadium, the legacy, the history. They are a full-on Premier League side. So when they go through troubles, which ultimately detach them from Premier League status, it's baffling. So even though they've been in the Championship for 2 seasons, it's 2 seasons too long in my books, and they fully deserved winning the Championship. It really goes showing, it's very interesting that they had a lot of competition with Burnley, and it made it so interesting. That's why I still believe, even with the parachute payments, the Championship is the best league in the world. Daniel Farke has fully deserved keeping his job at Leeds and trying to find that managerial stability into managing in the Premier League and succeeding. So again, that's just 1 point onto the tally. 107. I've really screwed this one up. First, Luton.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer every night.
Well, shit. Alright, you got me. Alright. I thought Luton was going to win it. Come on, give me a break. Oh my god. It's not the fact that they didn't win it. It's not the fact that they didn't get to the playoffs. It's not even the fact that they got to mid-table. It's not even the fact they survived at the bottom half of the league. They got relegated. Back-to-back relegations. They had the parachute payments. They had the advantage. Any sort of advantage you think of in a sport, they had it with the parachute payments. And they got relegated. Now, you already know, I say it time and time again with me and Brentford, but there's a lot of teams I like, the likes of Liverpool and Dulwich, and Wycombe comes under it as well. So believe me when I say that I want every single manager and player in the sport of football to succeed. But there comes a time when you have to go a bit of a hang on a minute, alright, I see how it is. When Matt Bloomfield left Wycombe, after such an expansive career playing for Wycombe and having the dream to manage that team, essentially near enough what a one-man club, and then you go off to a team like Luton, and I mean a team like Luton as in a team obviously bigger than Wycombe. You know, it's a complete opposite of Michael Carrick. Michael Carrick has been in management for much more longer than Matt Bloomfield, and he's applying his trade of Middlesbrough. Sure, there's been a few ups and downs, but he's learning from it. And Matt Bloomfield just jumped the gun. He got what he deserved. And that's it. That's all of my Championship predictions that I made at the start of the season, and coming to fruition, which ones I got right, which ones got wrong. So I'm very thankful. I at least got one. I think it's very funny that it was actually Plymouth the one I got right. There was a few I was off by one, but this goes to show 2 things for me. 1, I'm terrible at predictions, so I guess I joined the YouTube threshold of all the ones who are terrible at it. And 2, maybe I don't give myself enough credit, because I thought the very least would be best to go under 200 points. I got 128. I'm very happy, aside from the Luton prediction. But you know what, like I said, I hate hindsight. So as always, if you like this video, let me know in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you soon.